A leading black business leader says 2020 election is President Trump's to lose. Hi, I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle Now. And Bill, Bob Johnson, the guy who founded BET, which previously was known as Black Entertainment Television, but like so many businesses is now just initials, has said in an interview with CNBC, Hadley Gamble at CNBC, that he believes that the 2020 election is President Donald Trump's to lose. And he has a variety of reasons for that. But basically, he says, Bill, pay no attention to the polls. They're not really capturing President Trump's ability to inject his personality and his ability to dominate the news cycle. First of all, what do you think of his general analysis? And then as a follow-up, what do you think of who it's coming from?
Well, first of all, I think he's absolutely right. And this is an exceedingly important point. I mean, this is for people who think, well, that'd be nice to pick up a few extra votes here. This is not just this election. This is every election in the future of the country. If the Republicans can pull this off through Donald Trump.
And how so? What makes you say that this goes beyond his personality? Because clearly Bob Johnson at BET was basically saying it's because of Donald Trump. It's not anything about Republicans.
No. Of course, there's no question about that. We've watched Republicans struggle to deal with bringing in Black and Hispanic voters for the longest time, and the reason they struggle to bring in Black and Hispanic voters is because they talk to them like they're Black and Hispanic voters, and Donald Trump doesn't do that. I remember when he went to that Black church during the 2016 campaign, and everybody was rocking and rolling, and he was having a great time. We've covered a tiny little bit of this before, but I'm glad we can talk about it in one place because it's really, really important. I was an editor on a show called Sunday Morning Shootout for 5 years. It was a movie talk show with Peter Bart and Peter Gruber on AMC. And since I was the editor, I got to see all the raw footage, and I got to watch how these kind of very big Hollywood liberals dealt with mostly with Black actors and actresses. And you could just see the kid gloves coming on, and just how, as a Black American, it's like somebody asked Lawrence Fishburne on the show, as a Black American, what do you think about this Obama guy? And he said, can I answer just as an American? Awesome. So my point is this: Donald Trump does not pander to people. You can be one of those people who hates how he communicates. I know there's not many of them watching now, but to the degree that you think that he's, outspoken and brash and so on, he's also honest. He has a fundamental lack of guile about him, at least in terms of his persona. So I think Donald Trump speaks directly to people. But most important in all of this, and I've been saying this since it happened, I think that Kanye West supporting Donald Trump is the most important thing that's happened in this country since Donald Trump's election. So let me get into that real quick. Most people are not aware of the fact that if the Democrats do not capture something like 85 to 90% of the Black vote, they will never win a national election again, period. So on one hand, you don't have to move that needle very far. We don't have to get 50% of the vote. If we can just take 5% away and gain 5, that's, it's a 10% shift, or if we can just knock it down by some percentage, that is the end of the game for them. And the reason
Bill, if we had a parliamentary system, Black representatives would have a much bigger say in the doings of the Democratic Party because of the swing nature, their ability to bring that 85 to 90%.
Right.
Why has this not happened in this country?
Well, because Republicans have been so miserable at this. Look, watching the Democrats deal with Black Americans is excruciating. Hillary Clinton, doing an interview on a Black radio station saying that she's got a bottle of hot sauce in her purse. I noticed she didn't bring it out, by the way. And you all and all of this stuff. And Joe Biden will say, go down there and say y'all, and they're trying to put y'all back on the plantation, all this stuff. It's just pandering, and they know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. So thank God we don't have a parliamentary system. But the reason that I think this is such a big issue for Republicans is, I was saying that it's cringeworthy watching the Democrats interact with Black Americans, but we don't have that problem with Republicans because they don't. And
just don't interact with them at all.
Not not in the way that Donald Trump does, and not in the way that is in the essence of conservatism. So this is one of those big Republican versus conservative areas. As conservatives, we feel that everything is an individual basis. We believe that a black store owner and a white store owner, an Asian store owner, and a Hispanic store owner have a lot more in common with each other as store owners than they do, with the whole racial identity thing. But the reason I think this is such an enormous deal, Scott, is that Black America has, to say they've gotten a raw deal from the Democrats is beyond understatement. 8,000 Black Americans are murdered every year in cities that have been controlled by Democrats for 60, 70, 80 years, 130 years, I think, in the case of Atlanta. If somebody had the guts to just walk in there and say, look, is this working for you? Is this what you want? I was giving Mitt Romney this advice in 2012. Go in there, look at now with Romney, I said, everybody's going to be hostile. There are going to be a lot of hostile faces out there. I don't think that would be the case with Trump. But just go in there, find the angriest looking person you could find, start talking to him and say, are you living the life you want to lead? I suspect he'd say no if you were talking about inner city America anywhere. Then you say, well, we want you to lead a better life, and here's why we think it can work, and so on. So Donald Trump has got the ability to do this, I think, for three reasons. Number one, he's a straight talker. He doesn't pander to people, and he doesn't deal with all of this kind of cocktail party kind of. So that's number one. Number two. His economic record in terms of record low black unemployment, he could take that argument and apply it specifically to inner cities. If he were to run a 2020 campaign about it's time to clean up these inner cities, it'd be all over. It'd be game over. And finally, and I think most importantly, the presence of Kanye West cannot be understated. And for those of you who think that he's just a singer, you don't fully appreciate how this game is played, if you'll pardon me saying so. I understand how this game is played. I know how they work over there. I know how the entire liberal mindset works. So just so you understand the value of Kanye West, how important his support of Donald Trump is among Black Americans, it's a real simple equation. This is what the Democrats say. The Democrats say that Donald Trump is only supported by white racists. Kanye West supports Donald Trump, so therefore Kanye West must be a white racist. And that's where they have a bit of a problem, because Kanye West has the street cred. Certainly, I remember him criticizing George Bush during and Katrina, all of that. So what Kanye West does is he gives Black Americans permission to like Donald Trump. He gives them permission to like him. And that means that, everybody tells me Donald Trump's a racist, and, everybody tells me that the Republicans are evil, but Kanye likes him. And if Kanye likes him, then there must be something about the guy that I don't see. If Donald Trump can swing 10% of that vote, he not only will win the 2020 election, if he can swing that vote and have subsequent Republican candidates emulate what he's doing, nobody's going to emulate his style, but at the very least, speak plainly about actual issues, don't condescend, don't pander, and at the same time make it clear that this philosophy is better for everybody, then seriously, and I mean this, I think the statistics bear this out, Scott. You peeled 20% of the black vote away from the Democrats, and you never see a Democratic president in this country again.
Bill, there are two factors that Bob Johnson from BET, or the founder of BET, brings up in this interview with CNBC. He says, first of all, Donald Trump's base is going to re-up. He's not going to, as you've said this before, he's not going to lose anybody for the people who voted for him in 2016 going into 2020. And the second thing he says is the Democrats have not been able to put up a single candidate who's enough in the center, is the phrase he uses, enough in the center for most African Americans. Bill, you've also talked about this factor. Now, I think it's a lot more convincing, frankly, when it comes from a black businessman than it is when it comes from you. But do you think the Democrats will hear this, or are they going to do what you just suggested and brand him as an Uncle Tom who's sold out?
Well, I would never brand anybody as an Uncle Tom who sold out, no matter what their color was or whatever they sold out to. If you change your mind about something, that's your business as an individual.
I'm saying that's what the Democrats will do.
I know what they'll say. They'll say, and they'll put the pressure on, and that's fine. And as far, I don't mean to be like wallowing in my own crapulence here, but honestly, it's not a question of whether it's more believable because he's black. The question is it believable because he's true? And this has been something been talking about for a long, long time. But let's kind of deal with that issue. He's right, 100% right that Republicans are not only going to re-up in terms of every single person who ever voted for Trump in 2016 is going to vote for him again in 2020. I don't know a single person anecdotally, and that means I don't know anybody that knows anybody. Not one case, not one, where people who didn't vote for Trump before are not enthusiastically going out there to vote for him again. And I think what he's saying is not my perspective of it is it's slightly different. He said that he doesn't think there are enough centrist black candidates.
Centrist Democrat candidates.
That's what I meant. Centrist Democrat candidate. Well, see, it's practically interchangeable, but I think those days are coming to an end. Thank God, and good riddance. I don't think it's so much that the black candidates that exist are not center enough for the black community. I think for whatever reason, and I don't think it's politics, they're just not palatable to the larger Democratic Party. And so if you've got a party that's, 70, 80% white, and you have a couple of black candidates and the white voters don't support the black candidates, then the black candidates just disappear from the simple mathematics of voting. Obama was able to pull off two enormous wins because he was able to bring in both. He was able to bring in Democrats because of all of his liberal credentials and his elegance and all the rest of it, and he was able to bring in black Americans who really felt the need for this and justifiably, although I wish it could have been a better person, were proud of the fact that America had a black president. But what are you looking at up there now? I mean, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. Where's the appeal to the black community from these people? And
Johnson is basically saying they're all competing to go as far left as they possibly can. And he said, by and large, the African-American community is not socialist progressive, but they are Democrats.
That's right. As a matter of fact, the black community is considerably more conservative in terms of a lot of issues than the white national average is. I remember there was a period here in L.A. when Proposition 8 passed, which was the proposition, I think, as I recall, banning gay marriage. And while they said, the Mormons came in and rigged that, they also, liberals in L.A. after it lost, said that how shocked they were at the large numbers of black voters who had rejected this idea of gay marriage and how treasonous it was and all the rest of it. Put that aside. I think that's the number one reason why Pete Buttigieg is not likely to be on the top of a ticket. But my point is this. I thought Donald Trump looked good going into this. I thought he'd have a chance to really peel off a significant amount of black votes. If Donald Trump does, in the 2020 campaign, if he does 5 inner city churches with Kanye West, it's over.
So let me just add one more coda to this. I guess you only get one coda, but just to draw this to a close.
This could be your penultimate coda.
This is my penultimate coda. I don't even know what a coda is, but
I don't even know what penultimate is.
I used to know. The next to the last time we met, I remember what that was. But Bob Johnson says something interesting at the end of this piece that I read in this CNBC interview. They asked him directly if he was planning to vote for President Trump in 2020, and he said he might not. He said that he remains a fiercely independent voice for issues that matter to him. And so I found it interesting that it's not Bob Johnson saying, I'm voting for Trump, y'all ought to vote for Trump. It's Bob Johnson looking at the lay of the land and saying the way it sits now, with Trump supporters re-upping and Trump being able to pull over some people who haven't voted for him before, including some people in the black community, it goes sort of unspoken, I guess in pretty directly unspoken. That Trump is going to win even if Bob Johnson doesn't vote for him.
You can look at that, I may not vote for him, as kind of like a half empty kind of thing. But the fact that the guy who started Black Entertainment Television didn't reply immediately, are you voting for Trump? I'd never vote for that racist in a million years. Anything above that is a gain. For him to say I might not vote for Trump, if I understand my logic correctly, is to also say I might vote for Trump. And the admission that he might vote for Trump is unbelievably important. This is the end of the Democrat Party as it has become today. The Democratic Party that used to claim to be the champion of the little people, the party of the blue collar worker, and so on, has over the course of many years, but especially over the last 20 or so, has become more and more white, upscale, progressive, further and more and more the party of limousine liberals and champagne socialists. And that has left the Black community behind. And the main thing that Donald Trump has going for him, and this is something that no amount of political campaign ads can possibly touch, is that the number of Black Americans who are unemployed is at historic lows. And again, I've not got the figures, of probably within $100 or something, but I think under 8 years of Obama, average American income increased by $1,600, and under 3 years of Trump, it increased by $5,300, something like that. Extra money in people's pockets when this guy is president is something that every single person in this country appreciates and every single person in this country feels. And I know this from 30 years of experience. The poorer you are, the lower you are on the economic scale, the more that any break really helps. Limousine liberals can afford to be progressives because if they get taxed at 70%, then they only get, $4 million for a movie instead of, 12. So they can afford to do this to feel better. But when you're dealing with working class people of all colors, you have got a significant problem if your opponent is producing those kind of economic numbers. And if Donald Trump can come in there and do what no other Republican has done, we've already seen him do one thing that no other Republicans have done, and that is fight back on the level he's being attacked. If he can go in and open up the Republican doors to the Black community and do it in the way I think Donald Trump is uniquely suited for, saying, hey, I'm just a guy, you're just a guy. Let's go out there and make a ton of money and how awesome would that be? If he can do that, then I could see successors like Nikki Haley or any number of people really being able to build on that. It's an icebreaker, Scott. That's what it is. It's an icebreaker. I watched, you watch Mitch McConnell or Mitt Romney or any of these people, and it's just so awful. It's not as bad as the Democrats, but it's awful. And if he can do it, it is of earth-shaking consequences. And I not only think he can do it, I not only think he will do it, I think he's already done it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Whittle Now comes to you 5 days a week thanks to the members at billwhittle.com who've lent their support and contributed their money to this enterprise. They are the producers who make these videos happen. They're also the producers of written content on the site. If you're a member at billwhittle.com, you can write as part of our blog as well as our comment forum. There's a whole directory with private messaging capabilities, and you can even see who's online and connect with them personally if you'd like to do so. We have added some new features in recent days. For example, if you have one of Amazon's Fire TV devices right now, you can go download the Bill Whittle Network app on Fire TV and watch us in your living room instead of just on your computer. You can also talk to your Amazon smart device and say, Alexa, play Bill Whittle Network on TuneIn Radio. TuneIn Radio is the engine by which Alexa is able to pick up that podcasting. You'll hear audio versions. So just say, Alexa, play Bill Whittle Network on TuneIn Radio, and you get to hear us on your Amazon device. And
then Alexa says, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm very sure.
I was surprised we got approval for both of those things. In addition,
I find that your choice to listen to Bill Whittle is a little disturbing to me.
Yes, that's right. You can also listen to us on your favorite podcast app because we're out there on all of them, Apple and Google and Stitcher and the rest of them. So if there's any place where you'd like us to be and you haven't found us yet, go to billwhittle.com and click that contact link and send me a note and let us know where you'd like to see us. In the meantime, we're just grateful for the members who've made it all possible. So for Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks for watching.